Story 1. Boyfriend. 30. Male's family insists we share a hotel suite but wants me, 28, female, to sleep with his grandmother too long. Didn't read boyfriend's parents. Booked a hotel suite for their family friend's wedding and want us to stay with them, but expect me to share a room with his grandma or brother because we aren't allowed to sleep together. My boyfriend, 30, male, and I, 28, female, have been together for almost 5 years. In a few weeks, we are planning to attend the wedding of one of his close friends on the other side of the country, 6-hour plane ride away. Because this is a family friend, his parents, grandmother, and brother are also traveling in for the wedding. A few months ago, my boyfriend mentioned to me that his parents had booked a suite with the intention that all 6 of us would stay together for 4 to 5 nights. This is the part where things get a bit complicated. The suite has 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a common room with a pull-out couch. My boyfriend's parents are religious and come from a conservative culture, and they aren't okay with us sharing a room together, so the arrangement they proposed was that I share the second bedroom with my boyfriend's grandma, and my boyfriend and his brother both sleep on the couch in the common room. I felt pretty uncomfortable when he told me this. I'm a pretty introverted person, and also suffer from social anxiety, which makes extended periods of socialization pretty stressful for me. I have met his family several times and even stayed at their house for a week. They live across the country from us, so I don't see them very often, but these arrangements sound pretty cramped to me, and the idea of sleeping with his grandma makes me uncomfortable, honestly. I told my boyfriend I was happy to pay for my own hotel room, and he said he would prefer to stay with me. So we made the decision that we would book our own room. I thought the whole thing was resolved until earlier today, when my boyfriend called and said that his parents were not okay with us getting a separate room and were insisting we stay in their suite. Their reasoning was that if we stay in our own room, they won't be able to spend as much time with us. But I'm sure it also has to do with the fact that they don't want us sharing a room. As a compromise, they offered to switch the sleeping arrangements. Me, my boyfriend, and his brother could share the second bedroom, and their grandma would sleep in the common room on the pull-out couch. This ended up leading to a fight between me and my boyfriend because he thinks we should go along with his parents, wishes to make them feel more comfortable. I'm feeling really conflicted. In my gut, I feel very uncomfortable with the amount of control his parents are trying to exert in this situation. Being told I can't share a room with my boyfriend when we sleep at each other's places regularly and have been on vacations together, which his parents are aware of, makes me feel pretty frustrated. But I don't want to disrespect their culture and religious beliefs, and I don't want to create unnecessary drama. Should I just sucking it up, get my own hotel room, despite his parents wanting everyone to be together, not going to the wedding? Interested to hear people's thoughts. Story 2. My 23 female boyfriend's 23 male parents control his life. What should I do? By all, I'm facing a really terrible dilemma here. But let me cut to the chase without all the long story. My boyfriend's family's a sweet bunch. His dad worked in the army, and his mother is an immigrant from a South American country. I don't want him to see this and figure it out if I put the country, and he has been living with them while he has been trying to get his pilot's license, nursing license, and possibly his EMT license. He just got his bachelor's and has 2 more years to go until he is finished with his nursing program. However, his family has been trying to make him do the nursing program with his pilot's license, which stresses him out because both of those, along with his job, take a lot of time out of his day, and he becomes burnt out by the end of it, which comes to the problem at hand. My boyfriend and I live in different states. He lives in a small town in which the next available airport that is not overpriced is about 3 to 4 hours away, give or take traffic. However, I am close to an international airport, which is about a 30-minute drive. Flying to him is incredibly expensive. A ticket to the area he's at from his regional airport costs from $500 to $900 round trip. I also have to get a hotel because we cannot be sleeping in the same room. Per his mother's requests, she insists they would need a guest room for me, which they do not have. So it's out of the picture for me to sleep at his house for cheap. Although we split the hotel and ticket the price, mostly for a trip there and back, along with the hotel, will cost both of us $500 to $600 per person. We don't have the best jobs, but he insists he would like to see me, so I go to where he is. However, I have wanted him to make a solo trip with himself for a while, but his parents keep telling him he cannot, either because he needs to do something for them. He has a trip with them, or they simply said no. I ask him why he just can't disobey his orders and come, but he states his father takes away items, such as his phone and consoles, when he disobeys him. While meeting up with him in different areas, he has not been on a solo trip and has piggybacked on his parents' money for plane tickets where, in I would pay for tickets X, ex. We met in Las Vegas, and I paid for my own ticket and hotel room. Recently, we have been planning a trip to a major city. The only reason he is able to go is because his dad has a conference there and is paying for the ticket for him and his mother. I am close to this area, so I will be driving there and driving him around to city locations. However, the hotel his parents are staying in is expensive, and they will be staying in it for the entire duration 5 days. I looked to see what the same rate would be for me, and I found it to be $1,200. I put my foot down as we were buying tickets to theme parks and other attractions, stating that we cannot afford something and should find something else. His parents, however, want him staying close to where they are and have given him 2 hotels they chose that he could possibly stay at, which were also still expensive, $700 to $900. The entire stay, I have tried everything to find a better hotel, ones that I know are safe and reliable, along with being cheaper. However, his parents keep putting up the argument that he needs to get one of the hotels they picked. My parents are also coming along and have stated that he is allowed to stay there too if it would be cheaper. But he brings up the argument that my parents would force me to stay with them because it makes no sense to stay with your parents. After about 2 months of trying to find hotels, trying to figure out where we are staying, trying to even figure out how we will pay for all of this with our budgets, I snapped at him today and told him I was going to stay with my family and he would stay with his, and that this would be the last trip I would plan until we were ready to move in together. He went ballistic crying on the phone, saying his parents don't allow him to do anything and control every aspect of his life. He bawled about leaving the area, but not being able to because he doesn't have the money to go to aviation school or continue his degree. He then stated that he was going to talk to his parents, but from the 2 years I have been with him, nothing has changed. I don't know what to do anymore. I can't afford to be taking trips regularly to see him, and it's unfair that he is able to get free flights to see me, but I have to pay for my own. His parents are getting in the way of seeing each other, and I don't want to call it quits because he is an amazing partner, but I am starting to second guess my relationship. How can I salvage this relationship so that we can both see each other and not pay the price of his parents too long? Didn't read boyfriend's parents are controlling and don't allow him to travel by himself, and it's expensive to go to him. When I told him to wait until he's ready to move out to travel, he stated not to. Story 3. Boyfriend stayed in the same hotel room with ex-wife. My boyfriend and I have been together for 1.5 years. Our relationship is doing well, and we are close to getting married. My boyfriend had 2 marriages, has 2 sons with the first ex-wife, and 1 son with the second ex-wife. We handle things pretty well with his first ex-wife and those 2 sons. The problem is the second wife. His ex-wife, with the 8-year-old son, lives in another country. He is the one who filed divorce, so he is not interested in his second ex-wife, but his wife may or may not be interested in him, I'm not sure. Last year when she took their son to visit him, she still wanted him back, but at that time he told her that he is with me. He hasn't seen his son for almost a year, so suddenly he told me he decided to visit him for 10 days, and when he told me he already booked the flight that would leave in a week, I understand, and I'm fine with that. Then he told me he doesn't want to spend money on the hotel. He doesn't speak that country's language, and he wants to have more time with his son, so he would stay in his ex-wife's house and have his own room. I was not comfortable, and I offered to pay for the hotel fee, but he refused and let me trust him. I know he would not have anything happen with his ex, although I'm not comfortable. I agreed that he can stay in his ex-wife's house. Every day they went out or were playing in the house together and sometimes visiting the ex-wife's relatives. Yesterday when it was 11 p.m. in his time zone, I called and he told me that he, his ex-wife, and their son were on the way to the hospital because the son fell off the wall when they were sightseeing in another city. I asked how his son was doing. He said, may need 2 to 3 stitches. And then I asked him since they were in another city, so whether they planned staying in the hotel? He said yes, and they booked 1 room and 2 beds. He will sleep in one, and the mother and the son will stay in another. Suddenly, I felt super uncomfortable, but since his son was in the hospital, of course, it's not the best time to talk about this, so we ended the conversation quickly. 20 minutes later, he called me and asked me if I was fine, and I told him I'm not okay that they stay in the same room. And I said again, it's not about trust. It's about appropriate boundaries and principle. He said he understands, and he told the ex-wife once after the hospital they should go back home directly instead of staying in the hotel. He just explained to her it's good for the son and did not mention our conversation. I said it's a good way to solve it. About 12 hours later, I called him. He told me after the hospital it was 2 a.m. They could not go back home, so they ended up staying in the same room. He said he suggested to the ex-wife that he should have another room, but his ex-wife felt offended. He did not insist. I feel his ex-wife, and this living in different countries thing will keep bringing up issues. And so many times after I made myself clear that I'm not comfortable with him staying in the same house or staying in the same room, he still told me it's not a big deal. since he has no feelings for her and nothing would happen. Even after I said so many times it's boundary issue, not trust issue, he said I gave him a hard time on spending time with his son. I worry that in the future, if his ex-wife bring the son come to visit him, he would let them stay in his house too. Or if we get married and I could not go with him together, he will be in the same situation and end up staying in her place, playing happy family, and just tell me to not make it a big deal. Let me live with it. I don't have anyone who has similar situations that can give me suggestions. So I come here hoping that people who have met similar situations can give me some advice